Good enough. Goonies are good enough. Goonies are good enough. Welcome back to the Yes to Your podcast.
Was that in the movie?
Yeah, that's the song.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah. My name is James, and I am joined by my fantastic co-host, Beth. How are you doing this fine evening, Elizabeth?
I'm pretty tired. End of the week, usual.
Yeah?
Yep. Looking forward to next month.
As in August?
Yep.
Pourquoi?
Just got some stuff going on in August.
Huh. Okay. Maybe the DMV will finally be open.
I hope so. I need to go.
Well, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Anything you need to talk about, or no? You're just secrets.
I don't know. It's my personal business.
Okay.
I'm not trying to let the whole world know about my life.
Gotcha. All right. Well, as my lovely singing skills gave away at the beginning of we're doing Goonies this week. I felt that with all the recent film references that have been made with like Monster Squad and even the Lost Boys, that we needed to get this one out, get it in there. So for episode 13, that's what we're going to be doing. So a bit of background of the Goonies for me. It, of course, is reminiscent of what it was like growing up for me. I had a scraggly little like-age group of friends that I ran with pretty much my entire youth. I remember going to see the Goonies, but I can't remember exactly how I did. I actually think that I went with my friend that lived across the street and his mom to see it. So, I know that I went to see it at the movies, but I don't know. I can't quite remember how I did it.
I meant to say something last time. You talk about how you see all these movies in the theater when they drop, but you weren't a theater person now.
No, because
throughout my childhood, we barely ever went to the theater.
Because it has got severely annoying. I think maybe when I was a kid, it was a little bit easier because I was that annoying person, making noise and talking and chewing loudly and shaking boxes and all that kind of stuff. And then as I got older, and maybe because I got hard of hearing, again, what did he say? The Force? Be with who? So
I just thought I'd ask.
So yeah, I like. I know that your mom and I went to see the Boogeyman or the Tooth Fairy. It was we went to see, and there was probably like 2 straight rows of young girls, and like the scene would change, and they'd be all. Everything. I mean, somebody would just say a line and they were like screaming like it was the scariest. Like, you know how like you'll see for like Paranormal Activity, they have the audience being recorded in the green light and they're like jumping like it's the scariest thing ever and stuff like that. Yeah. Like literally that's how these people were. And you couldn't even hear the people talking because everything these people were screaming was just like, oh my God, like me and your mom actually started like mocking them like, a pickle. Because it was like
a pickle.
That's how it was. And I was like, man, I really hate going to the movies. And then, having kids and trying to go to the movies can also be a challenge because I don't care about disturbing other people with my kids. I care about being disturbed with my own kids. Like we sat there and fed Tabitha one time. We're giving her like popcorn and something else, and it was Spider-Man 3 that we had gone and seen, and she threw up all over herself. Like all of a sudden I looked down and she was all sticky and had like popcorn kernels all over. And so there was a whole section, the part when he dances, when he comes out and he's like doing that like
it's my favorite part.
Completely missed that whole thing. Like I came back and I was like, so did I miss anything? Your mom was like, yeah, you missed a really good part. I was like, well, of course I did. So I came back and he was fighting Sandman. That's
that movie was weird.
Yeah.
The one, what is it? Twilight? I think it was either Eclipse or New Moon. But I was sick when we went to go see it. But I really wanted to see it because we won the free tickets for it. And I was like, no, let's just go. And every like 6 minutes, I was out throwing up. And you know how they have the little lights in the rows when you're like exiting?
Yeah.
I thought that was a trash can. It wasn't. So we were leaving the theater. I remember this so vividly because I kept having to go to the bathroom to throw up. And we were leaving the theater. The movie ended, everyone. And they were like, what is that smell? Oh God, somebody threw up in the fucking light. And I was like, oh, shoot, my bad. And I was like, oh no. I was like, let's leave. Let's get out of here.
Oh no.
That movie, I missed so much of that movie. I did not have a good time. I was crying.
Well, that's unfortunate.
But I wanted to be there. No, I'm one of the annoying kids that you're talking about. I opened up my snacks during the movie, not before the movie.
Yeah, I know.
And I always had to look over, and you were like angry.
If you don't close, just get it open. Trying to open it the slowest possible.
Why do they put more bags inside of the box?
And then
why is there plastic in there?
The movie's going on in like the loudest parts, and you're like just like affixed to the screen. And as soon as there's like dialogue going on, you're like, I'm like, oh my god.
The best part was I always dropped the candy.
You sure do.
I always dropped it. I had to like, it's always Nerds or Skittles, but mainly just Skittles. And I remember I always try to open the bag and I put it back into the box and get rid of the bag because the bag is the loudest part. Yeah. And then something will happen, or I'll go to reach for it after like putting it down, and I just knock it over all.
Yep. You are the worst.
And it's so loud. You can hear him like falling into the, like down the stairs. Everyone knew it was me.
Right, the guy's looking back. I swear to God, if you don't shut that crap up back there, I'm gonna come back there and jerk your kid over.
Not good.
So
I was always scared. Not to keep going on this, but
no, you're fine.
With what you said, with this other people disturbing you, we would go out with you and Mom, and there'd be people who were annoying, and I'd be like in my sheet. The seat scared that you were gonna say something to these people, and there was like fighting going on. And I was like, please, let's just watch the movie.
That's why I don't go to the movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
So there you go. So now you know. As a kid, I didn't mind it so much, and then, yeah, I do now. So this movie did become one of those movies that would be like we would rent every now and then. When I was growing up over the weekend, and we would certainly watch it when it came on cable, like HBO. I know now everything's called cable, but back in the day, like cable was HBO, Cinemax, Showtime. Like if you're like, oh, I got cable, that's what that was. Those were the cable channels.
I didn't even know that. I thought cable just was referred to the cables. Do they not?
Because you got a cable. Yeah. Yes.
I don't watch a lot of TV.
Oh. Well, everything's wireless.
I don't watch
now.
any TV, actually.
And you watch TV, but after it's already been on, like now you're on Netflix and stuff.
Yeah,
like
Netflix.
That.
I'm a leech.
So, all in all, a great movie. One memory I for sure remember is the video game that came out for it. It was called The Goonies 2 and was on the NES system, the original Nintendo system. And no matter what I did, I could not get anywhere in this game. I would usually just end up frustrated with it after getting killed about 100 times and shut it off. But it was fun while it lasted. Yeah, it was really like it had the little theme. It was like do 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 do, and it's like, yeah, I'm playing the Goonies, and then you go in these doors and you're going another door, and then you go through these doors, and then somebody's sitting there shooting at you, and then you get shot, and or a spider gets you, and you just fall backwards dead, and then you're just do 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 do, and you're like,
I'm turning this off.
I'm muting this. I'm tired of hearing this. So yeah, that's how that happened.
That's how I am with single player games.
So, but it was a fun game for the little bit that I played it.
That's what I said about Skyrim when I couldn't get past the
Literally,
first bit.
As a kid, I would go to Turtles Music and Video. Before Blockbuster, there was a place called Turtles, and get like
That's way cooler.
6 games a weekend. So I would get 6 Nintendo games, rent them all up, and that's about how my attention span had to be. Like, because remember, these are games before you had save. So you'd play for a good hour and a half, die, and then that title screen would come back across, and you'd be all, I'm done. Exactly. And I'm just like, okay, time for this one to pop out. I'm going to play Mario, and
I'm going to play Mario.
Play something else. And that's literally how that went as a kid, because, I tried to play Zelda, Legend of Zelda, but I didn't have the map and all that jazz. I tried to play it. Really cool game. But I couldn't get anywhere on it. Now I'm just like, I don't understand this game. So I'm done. It's cool.
So you played Ocarina of Time in front of us. I know, different game.
Okay.
But this is why I love Zelda. Yeah. I've never played a game. Well, I have played a game, never finished a game. Because I don't have the attention for it. I don't have the patience.
Yeah.
But Justin got this whole for one of the games, like a map and all these cards and explain. I don't remember which game.
Wind Waker. I gave that to him because I had, yeah.
It was insane.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I want to play this game. I'll look at the map. I didn't understand it.
I went through it and played it, had the map. I had Tingle. If you had a Game Boy Advance at the time, you could hook it into the second controller port or everything like that, and you got Tingle. And he alerted you when you were near a treasure or something like that. You would look up Tingle real fast. He's
Is
awesome.
he ugly?
He's funny.
Tingle.
Look him up. Tingle. Come on.
Sorry, I have a lot of tabs open. It's really slow.
There he is.
Oh, I know this guy.
Yeah. He pops up in, I think, Smash Brothers. I think he, pops up and gives you some stuff
Smash
and
Brothers.
stuff like that. But, yeah, so he's, I played that and beat the heck out of that game. But I had the book and I had the map.
Yeah.
And it was a completely different game having that stuff because then you kind of knew where to go and how to do stuff. I don't know how. I think that your mother's mom, your grandma, played and beat the original Zelda. I think she actually worked through it. Like she put the time in and actually figured that out and did that stuff, which is pretty impressive. I mean, I give her a hand for that. Yeah. No. I was nowhere near that.
I don't think I could ever play. So I can't play game. I don't like single player games. I've said that before, but I don't think I could even touch a game where you can't save. I mean, I'm gonna die 5 minutes into it and be done.
Yeah.
I'm not sticking around.
I need games where I can unless
it's like a farming game.
Is that Far Cry? Far Cry when you're be on the brink of death, but you can do a little button and he kind of pops his hand and pulls a piece of glass out of his hand, but you survive. Like you can run and survive and stay alive. I need that.
I
in my
watched
life.
you play that one too.
Yeah.
You wouldn't let me watch the ending though.
No.
It gets a little risky.
It got risque.
Yeah. I don't really like those games. They're all repetitive. My squad, I guess you would say, in middle school, when the Far Cry 5 came out, I think that's the one with all the animals and everything. Is it? Or is that 6? I don't remember.
Are you talking about Primal?
Primal, yeah.
Okay.
Whatever. We were livid because it's pretty much all the games are the same.
They are.
And
for the most
I'll
part,
stand by that.
You get powers
they're
and
all
you do
the
this,
same.
that, and the other. But I
know you love them.
I love the game.
You played all of them.
Yep.
However, I can't stand those games.
Mm.
I couldn't even watch it. Tabby loves them too. No, I can't. We were all pressed. We were sitting around our table at Trustworthiness pressed about it.
I'm sorry. Do you need a moment?
No, I'm good.
Okay, you're good. All right. This is a long one. This movie is a long one.
This movie is 1 hour and 55. I began to look up how long the movies actually are. Because I watched this Friday, which is surprising because I usually wait till the last day or Saturday to watch. But Friday, I thought it was Saturday. So I was kind of, whatever about it. So I looked up, I was like, hey Google, how long is the Goonies? And it was 1 hour and 55. I was like, 1 hour and 55? Man.
Yeah.
Hour 55.
But it doesn't.
But it doesn't feel. And I told this to you when we were talking about it, and I said it doesn't. When you're watching the movie, it doesn't feel like it's 1 hour and 55 minutes. But when you think about the movie and you're replaying it, like we're about to talk about it, it's gonna feel like 1 hour and 55 minutes.
I give you that. I tried to kind of curtail on some of the notes to try and meld them together.
A lot of it ends up being repetitive stuff, anyways. A lot of the scenes are kind of the same.
Well, they cut the octopus.
I'm glad they cut the octopus. I was mad you showed me that. I wanted to take away a point just for that.
Oh, man. So, okay. So, speaking of that, though, what were your initial impressions of the movie? I mean, we've made so many references to it now that you've seen it.
You guys talked about this movie throughout my entire childhood. I'll put it there. I've never, I've seen one part of this movie, and it hit me while I was watching it, because I was like, oh, I wonder what that movie is, while I was watching this movie, where they're in the room with the piano, the bone, the skeleton. I figured you were going to say. I remember that one scene, and that's it. Yeah. But I remember it differently than what it was. Huh. I remembered it being a lot more scary. And bones, and whatever. So I had a good impression of this movie, going into it. The Rotten Tomatoes on this was 75, the IMDb was 7.8, so I was like, okay, well, everything seems to be kind of high up, but I don't really base off of those.
Right.
Based on the DVD cover, would I pick it up? No. The DVD cover looked really lame. However, based on the poster art, yes, because the poster art looked really cool.
Is that the one where he's hanging from the stalactite and they're all hanging his feet?
No.
Oh, it's okay.
It was like a skeleton head, and it was all like ominous. And if I saw that, I would have thought at first it was going to be a horror movie, and it looked cool, like some kind of pirate ship horror movie. It's not.
Yeah.
But I would watch it based on the poster art. Like, we went to the theater, and they were like, "Oh, what do you want to watch?" I'd be like, "Oh, let's go with the skeleton one."
Okay.
But trailer portion, or we're talking about the trailer.
Yeah.
I know you forget, so
No, I'm on it, man.
I gave the trailer a 2.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Because it doesn't look like it's not special, it's just kids trying to find treasures, what the trailer shows. But the director, Stevens, I don't want to butcher the last name, but has he done anything else? He sounds familiar. Oh, you're giving me the look of how do you not know? I don't remember names well. Did he do the last 5 we've done? What did he do?
Are you sure you're talking about the right director?
I don't remember names, but it sounds familiar. No? Is it not familiar?
You're talking about Steven Spielberg?
Yeah.
Okay, he didn't direct it.
That's what the trailer said.
You sure he didn't say he produced it?
Oh, that might have been... Okay, that's what I meant then. Whatever.
Or wrote it, I guess you could say.
care.
Richard Donner, I believe, is the director.
Either way.
Yeah, Richard Donner is the director.
The Steven dude.
Steven Spielberg.
What else has he done?
Oh my god, Jaws.
That's not the one I'm thinking of. There's something else. I never watched Jaws.
E.T.?
No, I never watched that.
Oh, man. Let me...
Sorry.
E.T., Jaws, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Saving Private Ryan, Close Encounters.
Ready Player One probably is that one. But Schindler's List too, probably. He's done a lot of good ones.
He's
done a lot, actually.
the man of movies.
Okay.
I mean,
Lincoln.
honestly. Hook.
Hook. What's
BFG.
that? BFG.
War Horse.
BFG. The Gremlins.
Back to the Future. Gremlins.
Okay, I'm done.
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Savage.
Savage. Yeah.
Anyways, the trailer, a bunch of kids find the map. They start listing the names of all the kids. Looks like it's kind of funny. Trailer's long and gives a lot of the scenes. And when I say a lot of scenes, it was a lot of the... I meant to look up the name of this. When you have the push a ball hits a lever goes up. What's that called? Andy something. It's like the guy who created that. We did it in science class once.
Oh, I don't know. I always call them contraptions or booby traps.
Well, either with the contraptions. They showed a lot of those scenes in the trailer.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I didn't really like those.
That's the whole movie, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
The whole movie is just pushing a ball, and the ball falls, and the ball goes, and people are crushed. I don't know. It was kind of lame. The house was really cool. The house stuff around the house was cool, but the cave itself was kind of lame. Either way.
I don't know.
2.5 out of 5.
Things like that, where I appreciate, I think it's kind of like, and we made reference to this in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, where you have a whole bunch of things that are supposed to make life easier, but did it really make it easier?
Yeah.
Like, to open the gate, you press the button, you have to do the whole thing, it goes through the whole thing, the chicken lays the egg, you have to water... You'd have to go back and reset all that up just to open the gate.
That chicken's not
going
to lay another egg like that.
Walk down and get the gate. So I do have a bit of a thing to where... they're inventions, neat, but necessary? Did it make life easier?
No.
I don't feel so.
I don't feel so. I didn't really like it.
Oh, geez. The movie or?
That's just that part of it.
That part. Gotcha. All right. So, the story revolves around a group of young misfits called the Goonies that discover a treasure map in the attic. So they set out on an adventure to find legendary pirate One-Eyed Willie's long-lost treasure. One-Eyed Willie. Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
The movie is directed by Richard Donner, who had previous fame directing Superman the movie in 1978. Just real quick, when Sloth rips off his shirt and he's got the S and he goes, Sloth! Superman, that was a reference to that because he had directed it.
So that's cool.
So, yeah, it was pretty cool. It's written by Chris Columbus and Steven Spielberg.
Christopher Columbus.
Chris Columbus also has a lot of, if you looked him up, he's got a lot.
He found the Americas.
Well, he didn't, but... but the movie does have an all-star cast, or at least what would become an all-star cast when you look at it. The Goonies was released on June 7th, 1985. It grossed $9 million in its opening weekend in the U.S., only second on the charts to Rambo: First Blood Part 2. So it grossed almost $64 million total in the U.S. and Canada, placing it among the top 10 highest-grossing films of 1985. So, like I said, this is a long one. The runtime is almost 2 hours, so we're going to jump into the movie. If you're ready, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Both feet?
Both feet.
All right, so the Goonies starts off with a scene in a jail where it looks like a man has hung himself. The man tricks the cop into thinking he is dead and then knocks him out.
I wanted to talk about before that even happened.
Oh, yeah.
The intro, the real...
with the skull and everything?
With the skull.
Yeah.
That was really creepy. There was no music playing.
No,
and there was just the black skull. You know, which goes into my thing about the poster. If I was like watching the movie and I saw the poster and I went into that, I would have been really let down after this because I would have thought that it was a horror movie.
Yeah.
And then actually watching it would have been like, no, this is not a horror movie.
Pirates, man. Skull and crossbones.
Right, but it was so creepy.
Skull and crossbone. No?
Anyways.
So, somehow the man escapes the rest of the jail completely with clothes. I don't quite know how he did that because I get that you knocked the one cop out, but to be able to get completely back out of the jail, I think that was pretty impressive. There's another man and a woman that are waiting outside in a Jeep. A chase ensues throughout the town. While they're doing that, we catch flashes of other characters in the film, and while the chase goes on in the background, which I thought was a pretty cool way to do it.
I like that, yeah.
And also, all the credits are going on at this point in time, too, so you're not really wasting a whole bunch of time with credits, and you know how I love that.
Yep.
The chase soon joins into a race of four-wheel drive vehicles on a beach to escape, which I thought was pretty cool. A pretty cool way to get away. He's a mama knows what to do. So, then we pan over a suburban area and come to a young boy complaining about nothing ever happening around there, while he talks to his brother who is lifting weights. We learn this is Mikey and Brand. Mouth stops by and talks about it being the last Goonies weekend together. And he gives Brand heck about failing his driver's test, which I just first noticed this first time.
Oh, really?
Yes. I actually paid attention to that he's like, you know, they were going to be excited that they could be driving around, but he failed his driving test.
Right.
They then hear there's someone at the gate. It's Chunk, another Goonie who they make do the truffle shuffle before allowing him in. And shout out to the truffle shuffle, as it's you know, where we got the name for our group. Word up.
Word up. Squad.
Yeah. Squad. Chunk says that he has exciting news about a crazy car chase that took place. They don't really believe him, as it seems to be the kid that always has a bunch of crazy stories all the time, like talking about Michael Jackson stopping by and using his restroom. He's like,
or Michael Jackson's sister being the one actually.
He didn't, but his sister did.
Yeah.
Data then literally drops by using some crazy contraption and busting through the screen door.
So I wanted to ask, how are all of the houses in this like? They give the paper to the dad, although this is a little skipping ahead a little bit.
Yep.
To evict them. But it doesn't seem like any of the other kids are leaving, just, you know, Brand and Mikey. But their houses are all connected.
Well, they call it, it's like the Boondocks, but they call it the Goondocks. In this little part of Estonia. So all the houses are like right there, I think. And even Data he brings over a brochure or a map of where he's moving to. He talks about how
So
he's
are
moving.
all the kids moving?
Everybody's moving.
Okay.
They're all getting evicted. All of their houses are going to be whatever. So yeah. So it was the last. So yeah.
Okay. That's where I was kind of confused about, because it made it seem like it was just Mikey's family that was moving.
I think they were the ones moving first.
Oh.
But everybody was getting, they were, because they were talking about how they were going to make the location like a golf course or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the houses were going to be torn down. So Data crashing through the door causes Chunk to knock a statue of David off the table, breaking off the wing, or as Michael calls it, his mom's favorite piece.
Yeah.
Brandon Mikey's mother come home with a house cleaner, Rosalita.
This was so funny to me.
And she's hired to help prep the house for selling and moving. they hide the broken statue from her while she walks through the room. She's not pleased at all about the screen door being broke. This is actually a really good part because its mouth does the translation for Mrs. Walsh, and he doesn't exactly tell anything that she's saying.
No, he makes it seem actually horrible.
He tells her horrible things, which are really, really funny, talking about like being locked in. If she doesn't do things, she's going to get locked in with the cockroaches and stuff like that. And the mom's like, okay, Rosie, okay.
Yeah. So I like this because at first I thought, Mouth was just lying about knowing how to speak Spanish. And then he shows up and he just like fluent with it.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. I like that. And then they go furthermore with it where he's just saying horrible things to the lady and she's horrified.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've been hired to this horrible family.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's awesome. I like it. So the rest of the gang is downstairs trying to glue the wing back onto the David, but they put it upside down. The mom and Rosalita leave for the store and tell Bran not to allow Mikey to leave the house due to his asthma. They ask about the stuff in the attic that his dad had since he's the curator of the museum, and they decide to override Mikey's objections about going up there to look at it. I was kind of thinking why they never went up there before, but I guess they're saying, well, since now this is the last weekend, screw it, we're going to go up and look. Because the mom was really adamant about not letting anybody up there.
Yeah, that or they didn't have to like stay home before. Maybe this is the first time she was like, you have to stay in the house.
Yeah. So they're checking out the stuff. It looks to be pirate related. Basically, the stuff is rejected stuff that has to do with history of Astoria, where they live. They come across what looks to be a treasure map in a glass case, and Mikey gives it to Chunk to hold because he's going to break it, which he does.
What's funny is before this, the scene with the mouth, how's the tongue through the painting, and you're ruining the painting. You're ruining my joke. Yeah. I like that a lot.
Come here, make me feel like a woman. He's got his tongue. You're ruining the painting. You're ruining my joke. Yes, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. When I was a kid.
But then you're right. They do find the map.
Yep.
And they get it out because he breaks it.
Yep. Taken out to investigate it.
I feel like Chunk had a lot of personality, like almost too much. Like there was just a lot with him. Chunk.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he had the thing where he's always breaking things and he's fat, so he's always eating and he's hungry, and then he's got the whole thing where he's separated from the group, and it just seemed like a lot for one character when you have so many of them. Yeah.
Mouth translates the Spanish on the map, and Bran tells of One-Eyed Willie and how everyone went looking for his treasure when his parents were his age. Mikey knows the story of One-Eyed Willie pretty well from being told the story at bedtime by his father. So after telling this story, his friends seem not to believe him until Chunk finds a picture telling of Chester Copperpot. And he says he has the key to finding One-Eyed Willie. So Mikey says that if this is the way to keep from having to leave the Goondocks, as they call it, then maybe they should go on the treasure hunt.
Which I like this. So I think this was a good way to introduce the plot of needing to find the riches and everything. And it's not a typical plot. It's not like any of the other movies we've done yet. It's pirates and such.
Sure.
It's their last option. It's a group of friends. Let's do it. So I liked it so far.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So Mr. Perkins stops by to drop off papers that Mikey's dad needs to sign. They're in regard to foreclosure on the house, as well as all the other houses in the area. So Mikey is pretty upset about it, and Bran comforts him, which is nice. It's nice to see the brother, even though Bran is older, and talking about getting a license and everything like that, he's still a Goonie. He still hangs with them. Yeah. And I thought that was pretty cool.
I do like that.
Mikey convinces the Goonies to help trap Bran with his exercise equipment so that way Mikey can actually leave the house. And go on the treasure hunt. They succeed and escape on bikes, flattening Bran's bike's tire, so that he can't follow him. And Mikey's yelling at Mouth about it. And he's like, wow, now it's flat.
Yeah, and Mikey was really upset about that. He's like, he worked so hard to get those tires.
He mowed a whole bunch of lawns.
So it was nice to see that the younger brother also cared,
So Miss Walsh and Rosalita return home, but kind of just ignore his situation.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. Like, it's just a typical thing that's happened, yeah.
Rosalita's like, ah!
Yeah, she drops it in her bag.
Drops all the bags. She just gives no cares whatsoever. Bran finally escapes, I guess when the mom realizes that Mikey's gone. and steals what looks to be like Data's little sister's bike. And she's like, I want my bike. I want my bike.
Yeah.
We get a bit of a montage at this time where the boys are riding their bikes through the town, heading out to where they're looking for the map.
I like this because it introduces the town in a different way than it having to be in the intro. And they're saying hi to like the people going by.
Say hi to his dad.
Yeah.
Yep. At the museum and everything.
I thought it was nice.
Yep. Chunk complains about being hungry. And Mikey is, able to line up the map with actual landmarks. He's like, see, I remembered seeing these rocks like this. And then he holds up the balloon and he sees it, which is cool.
Doubloon.
It's a doubloon.
I thought doubloons were coins.
It is, but they've hollowed it out. Those pieces on the doubloon.
Okay.
Yeah. So then we come to Troy in his car driving with two girls. They come upon Brand on the little bike, and Troy holds his hand while speeding off. He drives so fast that he actually causes the bike to start to fall apart, and then causes Brand to fly over a hill. So basically attempted murder.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Troy definitely, I hope you didn't want to go to college because that is attempted murder. He definitely could have killed it because the thing goes off the cliff.
He didn't just go off the cliff. He flies off the cliff.
Yeah, he flies off the cliff. I mean, that was just horrible.
Yeah.
It's not the way to get the girl.
No. Well, unless, you kind of find out what kind of girl she is at that point in time because if that does it for her.
That's fair.
Attempted murder.
I like you.
I like that. I can change him.
Oh.
We then come back to the Goonies, who are using a doubloon that was with the map to line up the landmarks again and find that the rock, the lighthouse, and the restaurant all line up with the three holes on the doubloon, which is Mikey's like, see, this is what I'm talking about here. I knew that this was, was where we're at. So Mikey asks Mouth to translate, and they follow the instructions while taking 100 paces, which basically leads them right to the restaurant, which was cool. They find that they are where they are at the restaurant, and Chunk starts to complain again about why there are people in the restaurant when it's a summer place. So clearly this place should not be open.
You know what? Now that we're talking about, so you can go with the argument of, it's just a movie. But if this map was made when pirates were around and everything, there wouldn't have been a restaurant there. And there wouldn't have been...
would there have been?
But there wouldn't have been all those pipes and everything. And even if there were the pipes, people would have been down there and working around with the pipes and would have found...
some of the places.
Yeah.
Right. But they would have just found that part of it. They wouldn't have gone through the rest.
Or would they have?
I don't know.
No.
But it's just a movie.
The fact that the restaurant just happens to be there and everything. Meh.
Right. So Chunk hears gunshots and really gets scared that they are going to get killed, but everyone tells him to shut up. They reach the restaurant, which clearly looks closed. Chunk discovers the RV that has bullet holes in it and realizes it's the same vehicle from the chase earlier, the Jeep. So Chunk catches up with the rest of the crew to tell them, and they're already in the restaurant, but they get caught by the lady that was driving the car. So the man who escaped from jail also comes upstairs and is complaining, but stops when he sees the boys. So I was like, okay, first they're going to be dead. but
this scene was weird to me too because they go on to kind of entertain the boys in a sense.
Yeah. She says the boys are customers.
Yeah.
So they act like they're running the restaurant.
But Mouth goes from being terrified like the rest of them to kind of acting like a jerk. He'd be like, oh, whatever, bring me, I want this and this.
I want the Villa Scalapini.
Yeah.
Yes, he absolutely does. Yep, he goes off on a rant once, and then she's like, oh, we serve his tongue. And she pulls his knife out on him. That right there, I would have been like, I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go. But he continues after that. I mean, she brings him the quote-unquote waters. They looked not like water. And...
no, it was yuck.
Yeah.
It's what is this?
And so he's pouring it back and forth. He's like, Mikey, do you want some water? And it's just stupid.
Yeah, I like that.
So, I mean, I guess I didn't really like the character development in this movie.
Okay.
Because it seemed really forced to a degree and extra. Mouth didn't... They were terrible. This was a bad situation. In this situation, it's not a time for jokes. These are bad people.
He doesn't have the best timing.
No. And which is fair. But just to go back and forth, and then after she was the thing with the tongue, and then you continue to do jokes like that, it wasn't necessary to me.
I gotcha.
And then having, again, Chunk always being, when when they see the Pepsi cooler, he goes up to like, finally a drink.
Right.
Why would an abandoned restaurant have water?
Well, it's not
Or
supposed to be
drink water.
abandoned though. And he was
But it was all torn out and
he was
everything.
pissed.
Yeah.
It was all empty.
But
Crap.
it just seemed like a lot.
Well, Chunk tells them about the bullet-riddled vehicle, but they don't believe him. Again. I mean, this kid is, you have to give it to Chunk. He is, I mean, but that's the boy who cried wolf
Right.
so much. Now that he's trying to tell them the truth, they don't believe him at all.
Yeah.
So,
He just, like, because they had like 5 or 6 kids in this whole movie.
yeah.
It just felt like they could have divvied it up a little bit more.
Okay.
You could have had, like, Techno be the one who's always telling lies or anything. Or somebody else.
Techno. Data?
Data, that's what I meant. Sorry. Oh my god.
Techno would have been such a better name. I'm going to call him Techno from now
I thought
on.
that was his name. But
No,
I knew
it's
it was
Data.
Data. I even have it down as Data. That's my bad. Techno. But I mean, you could just given more personality to the other characters.
Okay.
I know Data, for example, had all the cool inventions and everything, but it seemed like everybody had the different pulley and everything system going on.
Yeah.
So
Well, maybe he built all that for him.
that's fair. But
So, Mikey says he needs to use the restroom, and she tells him it's downstairs to the right, stay to the right. He's basically using it as a front to go and explore the basement. He's looking around and hears a growling noise as well as singing. So he looks and he sees the escaped man throwing food at some other man. Like he's like chucking it at him while singing opera.
it was very weird.
Mikey is hiding and sits on a mousetrap, which is funny because he's all
Yeah.
trying to be quiet while he's got it on his butt. Mikey then uses a broom to scoot the tray of food to the man, and we see that he's pretty jacked up in the face. He's pretty horrible looking. So Mikey runs off and runs right into Brand, and the lady chases them all out of the restaurant saying, "Kids suck," which was funny to me. He's like, "Kids suck." So Mikey is trying to tell Brand about what he saw, and they see the 2 men and the woman loading something into the Jeep. Everyone wants to leave and go, but Mikey is convinced that they need to stay and look for the rich stuff, as he calls it. So as the Jeep pulls off, 2 girls that were with Troy sneak up on the boys, which I thought was kind of convenient because, like, how did you found them?
Yeah.
I mean, even Brand finding
And then
them
how did you get away from Troy as well?
would have been, yeah. Both of them, how did you get away and how did you find them?
I think Brand finding them was more convenient because he at least knew where they were headed. Because he knew about the rocks and or how it was matching and how they thought it was familiar.
Yeah.
So that one seemed, I understood
and
that
he sees
one.
the bikes and then assumes
Right.
that's where they're at. Sure.
But the girls I did not understand.
No, that was pretty good.
So
So the Goonies go back into the restaurant and Brand tries to get them out again, but the 2 girls get scared by like a fish on a stick. Did you see it pops up? It's like a fish head. And run in after them. The one girl is flirting with Brand, so he's distracted. I mean, he's just completely distracted and allows them to go back down into the basement. They can hear the "it," as they call it, growling, and they all go to look, and they freak out when they see him.
So I meant to ask, which movie came out first? The original It or this movie? Do you know?
The movie, well, the TV series came out in 88, I want to say.
TV series?
Yeah, it was a TV.
What? Which one?
It was a made-for-TV, this one.
1990.
Okay, 90, 88, 90.
Because I felt like there was a lot of similarities in a sense. Because, I mean, Mikey with his asthma and...
Oh, and you've got a
then
group of kids.
A group of kids, and they're all going down, and they kept referring to the thing as it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
Brand and the one girl almost kiss, but the Goonies tease them. And shame, shame, we know your name. We find that the girls' names are Steph and Andy.
Yeah.
And Andy is the girl that's flirting with Brand.
Could not remember Steph's name.
Yeah.
She was really funny through most of it as well.
I'm going to be honest. I had to look it up. I don't know that it ever actually gets said.
Yeah, I did not know.
And when it comes to how you were saying characters, she seemed to just be there to be an extra girl, a friend of the girl, and to have issues with Mouth in some way, shape, or form.
She had a lot of her lines were pretty funny. Like, they're in the
She did have
basement,
some good
and she
here
was
and
like,
there.
"Where are you? You're in the clouds, and
Right.
we're here in a basement."
Where are you right now? You're in the clouds. We're in
So,
the basement.
I liked her, but I didn't at the same time. 'Cause
Yeah.
she didn't have any flavor to her. It was just bland. The characters just weren't here for me in this movie.
I got
They
you.
weren't.
So Chunk knocks over a glass water bottle, breaking it, causing water to run down and revealing the hole in the floor.
This messed me up. Are all of those glass?
They used to be.
Because I thought they were all plastic.
They are now,
And-
but they did used to be glass.
Oh, because
Yep.
when you had an office job way back, and you would bring us to the office, and there was one of those things,
Yep.
and I almost knocked it over once.
Yes.
And I felt horrible about it.
It was plastic.
But it was plastic. Okay.
Yeah.
This movie, I was like, oh gosh, are they glass?
Yeah.
So
So they now reveal the start of the tunnel and are looking to go down, but Data starts a printing press that is printing counterfeit $50 bills. Steph finds a newspaper article that shows that the other people are the Fratellis and are wanted. So now we know the $50 bill is basically counterfeit bills. And we know who the bad people are, the Fratellis. So we got that information now. So we pretty much know everybody's name at this point in time. Chunk is wanting to leave, but he smells ice cream in the cooler and goes in to get it. He also finds a dead body. It's a Steph!
Yeah.
And he keeps getting it on him, which is funny. Him and this stiff, more happens between him and this stiff that make me laugh than anything. Because the Fratellis return home. So the gang puts the body back into the cooler, trapping Chunk with it. Because he saw, guys, I'm in here with it. And the dead body keeps falling over on him. He keeps, stay. And then it just plops on him again. And the funny thing is, that's a real guy. That guy's playing the stiff. So it's really funny. It just makes me laugh really hard. And then the part later with him.
I like this. Just the thing with it is, though, if I was a kid, this goes with Mal as well. In this situation, I was stuck in this freezer. Those freezers typically don't open from the inside. It has to be open from the outside. But if there's a dead body in there with me,
freaking out.
And I've been the whole time, I'm like, we should leave because these are not good people.
Yeah.
I would not be like, stay. So I would be piss baby. I'm peeing myself. I'm done.
Urine
I need to
everywhere.
go home. I would not have been the one to bring to this. This is not it.
Yeah, I agree. Nowadays they have those safety latches on the inside of them, but I don't know that on the old school one like that it would have had a safety latch. That's a good point.
So,
well, he comes out.
He does,
But-
yeah. But
so-
that's just, and the fact that it had to have been him that's separated and everything.
Yeah. The rest of them decide that their only option is to go down the hole in the chimney to get away. So the Fratellis come down in the basement and see that someone has been there because they see that the water cooler is broken. Chunk makes it out of the freezer and Mikey tells him to go get help. So Chunk escapes out a window and the Goonies start on their journey down below.
So
This is kind of like the halfway part in the movie because they're finally now on their journey, I guess you'd say.
I meant to ask. You always say that with some of the movies that there's a voiceover. Was there one for this movie?
Mm-mm.
When they're going through, like they're crawling through, they are talking, but there's like something. It's not matching with what they were saying, like coming out.
You know that I read that they had to do like a couple weeks of dubbing of
That
dubbing
was what I was asking.
over the movie. So
Overlay.
I think that they had to do that after the movie was done. That
Yeah.
it got added in.
Okay, that's what my question was, because right at this scene they were going through, and don't give me that. That was my question.
Oh,
They were speaking, but it wasn't matching the mouth movement. They could have done that better. I was like, oh, okay.
so dubbing did definitely take place after, because I think it took 6 months for the movie to film.
6 months.
Yeah, and then they had a couple weeks or whatever after that they did dubbing. What are you gonna do?
I guess you would have to, because they're pretty much in a cave of sorts.
Yeah,
There's gotta be the sound there is not gonna be good.
yeah. So at first, Brandon's saying that since he is the oldest, he is in charge. They ask Data to provide a light, and he does. One of his inventions is what he pops out, but it blinds everyone, and then it dies off quick because the battery is garbage. Chunk is able to stop a vehicle and starts to tell how he ran into these nasty, disgusting people called the Fratellis Unfortunately, it's the Fratelli brothers that he's stops.
Yeah, and it seems to be like midnight at this point.
They throw him in the trunk with the dead body. It's the same stiff, which makes me laugh. And I don't know if that lines up right. I don't know if it's the same stiff because remember they saw them taking and putting the body in the back and then they go back in and there's a body that's in the freezer. So I'm thinking it can't be the same body. Either way. It looked like it was the same body. And oh my God, that made me laugh because he's all,
I thought it was weird.
He keeps getting dead people on him. It's funny.
I thought it was weird how much time had passed already because when he's going out to get the cars, it looked like it's like pitch black outside.
It's nighttime.
Right, but it's like already 2 minutes ago, it was day.
It was dusk, man. I mean, it was the end of the night when they were down there. So the sun was, yeah, I mean, it was going down. So, like I said, they do throw him in the trunk. The Goonies come upon a bunch of water pipes and decide that they are going to bang on them to make noise to get found, which I thought was weird because are you trying to go on your adventure or are you trying to get found? Whatever. Steven Spielberg, he directed this scene, so...
Well, I mean, I guess you could think if you're the kids... They wanted to get out at this point because they realized that these people are bad people because they saw the dead body. So they're trying to get out, and their only way to escape was through the fireplace anyways. Yeah. So that's why they were down there in the first place. So I understand that they wanted to leave because then, remember, Mikey hypes them up again and was like, look, we got to do this. Let's just continue anyways.
Right. But, so these pipes are below the Astoria Country Club, and all they do is cause havoc for people above.
I thought it was I liked the scene. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah,
the poor guy in the bathroom.
They launched Troy off the toilet. That was Troy.
That was him?
That was Troy. Oh. Yeah, which makes it fantastic.
That makes it better, actually.
The pipes break and reveal a hole in the wall that the Goonies go through. So their path literally was kind of, I guess, blocked up, and then it squirts that mud, and then you see the hole. Meanwhile, Chunk is being interrogated by the Fratellis. He not only tells them the truth of where the Goonies went, but gives them a history of all the crap that he's done in his past.
See, this seemed more realistic to me because, I mean, if you're in the situation where they're like, you need to spill your guts or else we're going to chop or blend your fingers up, I'm going to start talking like he does. He starts crying. So would I. You know? So I like that this part was more realistic in the sense. It just...
He said he thought of his mom being dead to cry, to produce the real tears. That's how he did that.
Well, that's really sad.
No? I don't think she's really dead. I think he thought about her being dead, and that's how he cried. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Just as a little bit of information.
Whenever I want to cry, I think about that one video of the two cats.
Oh, and the one doing
CPR on the one cat because his friend's dead. The cat's dead.
A moment of silence. Okay. So the Goonies are walking the path, and Andy is losing it a bit, which I thought was... She's like, I'm going to be funny. It's okay to just looking at my chest. She's just going off.
Yeah.
They come upon a body that is crushed by a giant rock. They find that this is Chester Copperpot, the man that disappeared in 1935 looking for the rich stuff. They take candles and also dynamite unbeknownst to them, and a key from Chester Copperpot's body.
See, okay, I want to mention those because later on, when they light them, the first time, not the second time, they are actual candles. Like, they have the things, and like it seems like the dynamite like is peeling back to be actual candles. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe they weren't.
So he just happened to have some dynamite in a bag that he also had candles, and they didn't realize that it was dynamite. So it was just one stick of dynamite that was in there, pretty much, that they grabbed. Oh. Yeah, the rest of them were actually candles.
They should have made that a little bit better, because I was really confused. I was like, are they not actually dynamite?
As a kid, I actually remember feeling the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mikey finds a rope and pulls it, causing a booby trap to activate. They are able to make it past them just in time with the map and the lantern.
So that, I want to comment on this because this doesn't make sense. It doesn't line up with the rest of the movie, because when you see where the girls are, and I think they're with Data, and those rocks are falling down one by one. Mm-hmm. That's the path they entered from. Those rocks are going to go back up. How are the other people going to come through later on?
They walk past to the side.
Oh, they walk past to the side. No, there was no room.
There was a little bit of room.
No, there wasn't.
I saw.
No.
We'll watch again, and I'll show you the room.
There was no...
But you can actually go to this set and walk, and you can actually walk by those rocks.
Oh, can you?
No.
Really? Wow. No.
I
I just
get
thought
what
that
you're
I just thought
saying.
that was weird.
Yeah, the rocks do not go back up,
do that, yeah.
and somehow the people have to be able to get by
Yeah.
them. That's fair. It's a movie.
It's a movie.
It's movie magic.
Magic.
Magic. I don't know.
I don't know either.
So Bran thinks he hears someone down a hole and moves a rock. And again, this is another where you were saying where Steph has a good line. She's like, God, put that rock there for
yeah.
And bats fly out everywhere.
This is really funny because Mal, he starts telling the bats to sit. He's like, sit. He had a lot of good ones too.
Yeah. So Chunk is still up revealing his deepest, darkest secrets of horrible things that he's done. And the bats fly up out of the hole from the fireplace. So now the Fratellis are aware of the hole and that Chunk was telling the truth. The Goonies have moved on and find themselves at the bottom of the wishing well. And they start to take the money that is there.
This was weird to me because at first, I think it's Mouth. He's picking up coins that are like old coins, like super old coins. Yeah. And they're like, don't take those. Those coins are probably worth more than anything.
Yep.
I would have taken the coins.
Steph tells them that they're other people's dreams and that they shouldn't take the money. But Mal says that his dream didn't come true, so he's taking them all back.
He said he was taking this one back.
He says, I'm taking this one back. I'm taking them all back. And then he turns around and goes down into the water and pick them up.
Well, my bad.
My point being, I forgot to say, the baseball card that they had, I think it was Lou Gehrig, that they had is a $225,000 card. And all the money that they could have put in the bucket and gone up Troy's bucket probably could have saved them a good amount.
Well, I wouldn't have given all that money to Troy. I would have put it in, what's his name, his backpack. But Data, yeah.
Make him carry it up.
Yeah. When they find all the treasure.
Carry my money.
Yeah, I agree. So, the Fratellis decide to go down into the hole, but lock Chunk up with her brother first. Troy and friends happen to be at the well, which I thought was convenient, after being shot off the toilet. And they offer to lower the bucket to save the Goonies.
To save Andy.
Right, definitely Andy. But, I mean, I'm assuming everybody's going to go up the bucket.
Yeah.
Up Troy's magic bucket. But Mikey convinces them that they should keep on looking for the rich stuff. Otherwise, the adventure will be over and they'll have to move. I mean, that's basically where it is. And that's, again, what got me with things. Because 15 minutes earlier, they were beating on the pipes to get out. The room that and now he's convinced. So
I think Mikey overall wanted to do it more than everybody else, of course. So I think that when he realized that he'd gotten, because he even said, he was like, we made it further than the pro.
In Chester Cop.
We've made it further than this guy. We could do this. If it's all of us, we can stick here and we can do this, or we can go back up to the top and move and never see each other again.
Right.
Down here, this is our time. Up there, it's our parents' time.
That makes
Let's
sense.
do this. I mean,
it's our time down here.
See, and this is where I'm divided, because if I was Chunk, I would be like, I'm leaving. I'm not dealing with any more of this, because he was going through it at this point. But if I was like Mouth or Andy, I would probably stay. I don't see why I would go back. But I didn't understand like why the girls were so moved by this dude, because it's not like they lived with them.
They were in the area as well. They were going to lose their house. So
everybody's connected.
Everybody's house is going to be jacked up. So Chunk tries to make nice with the brother, whose name is Sloth, by offering him a baby Ruth. He chucks it at him and nails him right in the face.
Yeah. Again, if I was in this position, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to see this guy's face and I'm going to cry.
Agreed.
I'm going to just start crying.
Sloth gets the candy bar after breaking his chains and is happy. And they seem to become instant friends.
It was really weird.
He
kisses him. I didn't like this.
Yeah.
This made me very uncomfortable. I mean, extremely uncomfortable. I know maybe it was supposed to be like one of those heart-wrenching moments where it's like, oh, they're friends despite their differences. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to throw up immediately.
Nice.
And I wouldn't have made friends with them. he would have killed me. I would have been like, get away from me, you freak. And he would have been like, snap
Nice.
of the neck.
Nice.
The movie would have gone very differently.
So the Fratellis are making their way through their underground path after the Goonies, but Mikey reveals a way to use the key that they got from Chester Copperpot, which I thought was nice that they found that. And I guess that's what he was talking about. You know, they never really talk about how Chester Copperpot got the key, but he said, I've got the key to One-Eyed Willie's treasure. And that's
Maybe
what it was.
Maybe they could have done like a prequel where it's his
Just Chester Copperpot, and then he gets halfway in and dies. He gets crushed by
not
a rock.
halfway. It could have been like finding the key and then getting to the key and then the movie ends because he's crushed.
Okay. So
I don't know.
he twists it with the key on there with the three rocks. It closes a trap on his hand and launches another one of the One-Eyed Willie's traps. But it also reveals the next path that they need to take. So it kind of needed to happen. I think that's why it trapped his hand so that you wouldn't fall down the hole. Because Data was standing on it and he falls down the hole.
Yeah,
but it's saved
almost-
by the pinches of bow.
He almost died.
Yes, he
And I
did.
think this
Because
is
there's sticks down there.
This would have been another one of the moments where I would have been like, maybe we go back to the bucket. You know, maybe we head back to the
Hey,
bucket.
Troy, you still up there? Can we ride your magic bucket?
You know, because my friend's almost dead. I also
Yeah.
don't understand how his little thing held, the little teeth, that would have slipped right off the rock.
Because it's movie magic.
My movie magic, but he would have died.
So Chunk tries to call the cops and tell them what is happening, but the cop that he talks to doesn't believe him. He's like, "Is this you?" He's like, "Well, are you?" And he actually makes a Gremlin reference. He's like, "The little monsters that replicate when you put water on them, and, and stuff like that."
Oh,
And
that
it's
is
like,
when you ate them, when you fed them.
after midnight. Well, and if you throw water on them, they replicate.
Oh.
They turn into gremlins when you feed them after midnight. Yeah, watch the movie.
I haven't seen the movie. Yeah.
You will. Chunk tries to call. Oh, I said that part already. Let's not repeat our information. All right.
Little gremlin moment.
So meanwhile, Sloth hears his echo in the hole in the fireplace and decides to go down. So Chunk, I guess, goes with him, which I probably would have headed out the front door. But
I would have let him. Yeah, I would have let him go.
Yeah.
Good luck.
The Goonies have all made it down the hole somehow. I guess they had a rope, and they decided to take a pee break, which I found humorous and weird at the
This
same
pee
time.
break was also not like it was terrible. So there, Mikey's kind of like deviating up. He's like, who needs to go to the bathroom? And everyone's like, yeah, we need to
Yeah.
go. So he's like, okay, girls to the right,
Little girls.
the little boys to the left. And he's like, well, I'm gonna go down the middle.
Yep.
It's for the men. The middle. Later on, when they're having to escape, they go down the middle. They go down the pee hole,
That's a good point.
and they never say anything about it.
Yeah. Good point.
Gross.
Gross. Pee hole.
Pee hole.
But if you were with him, though, with the fear that you felt, all the holes would have been the pee hole. Because you pee regularly when you're scared like that, basically.
Well, the girls didn't go.
No, they just
Stopped.
So Andy decides that this is going to be a good time to attempt to have a makeout session with Brand. But he sends Mikey instead, and he ends up kissing Andy. It's funny because she tells Steph that it was amazing and to look out because Bram was probably standing in a hole.
Yeah.
Oscar asks if he has braces.
It was. I mean, it was funny.
It's a funny little part, but it's like, my gosh, girl, you're in the middle of some
Yeah, it
serious
wasn't
stuff.
really necessary.
Every time they have a moment, there's like, it's time to be kissing. And it's funny because Brand's looking up and he nods at the thing and Andy goes, with the music. And he's like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
They're here. He's like, because the Fratellis find the rope that the Goonies used to climb down, basically catching up to them. So the Goonies hightail it, and they come to a log where they have to cross. Now, I don't know how the Fratellis get down that rope so fast.
Yeah, I don't know how they get there so fast in the first place because there's so much time in between them.
Yep.
From when they get Chunk, when they have to drive back to the house, when they're getting the information out of him.
Yeah.
There's so
all I
much
can
time.
figure is because everything's triggered, they're able to just walk right through everything. So that's all I can figure. But getting down a rope that's over spikes and stuff like that mom crawl.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, it's magic. movie
Right.
magic.
Data uses another invention that he calls slick shoes and douses the log with oil. Slick shoes!
Even without that, I would have been falling off the log. You're not catching me over that log. This was in the moment that I would have been like, man, I should have stayed. I would have been, I need to go back under the
Go
mushroom.
back to the bucket.
Back to the bucket.
Back under the mushroom. Nice reference. I'm going back to the mushroom.
I'm not good with, if there's anything balance related, no.
Especially with rushing water. Going that way, I feel I would have got dizzy and fallen off. And the rope was all weak.
This log has to be hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
It's got to be a really old log.
Wet, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're stepping on it and your foot's going through and you're falling over and drowning.
Luckily, the Goonies are slick.
Yeah, good thing.
Not slick shoes. So they reach a giant organ made out of bones, which was gross. And Andy plays it to reveal the next path that they have to do. It's, of course, rigged, and when she plays the wrong notes, it causes the floor to drop out from underneath them, which I thought was pretty cool. And
I remember,
very dangerous at the same time.
I remember this being where when she played the wrong one, the bones actually, instead of only doing like the smoke out of them, they also like came out some. They were further out, and then it did like it was kind of like
I don't remember
and it was
that.
bigger. That's how I remember. I was just saying that's what I remember.
Oh, okay. I see. No, it doesn't happen.
I just remember it being more intense. Like, it was intense, but it was like, well, whatever. Don't stand on the side of the thing that's falling off.
Yeah, people keep almost falling down the hole.
Yeah.
And then Data runs up and like bumps into her, and that causes her to go, and it's like, oh my gosh, pay attention.
Yeah.
The Fratellis are having a hard time crossing the log due to the oil from the slick shoes.
This was funny.
And then a bunch of water comes and almost washes them away. Andy is able to play enough of the right notes to reveal the path, and they just escape in time the clutches of the Fratellis, which I thought was pretty cool. They all slide down these giant water slides, which were actually built, it's pretty cool, into an underground cave of water. They are first distracted with themselves and then take notice of the pirate ship. And, not quite sure how there's light in the cave, but it's a movie, so
not my business.
Because Brand actually takes the lantern and chucks it, and I was like, because everything's lit up.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I guess there's light in here. So
maybe there's like sea lanterns.
We'll go with sea lanterns. It's the fish. They're all.
I really
reflective.
hope the fish aren't reflected. Yeah, that's
the water was really blue and pretty, though. I thought that water that was in there, whatever the fake water that they used, was really pretty. Just to say. So they climb aboard the ship, all but forgetting about the Fratellis at this point. I mean, I thought that was pretty weird that, they were right behind them, and now it's like, oh, the ship? Oh.
Well, honestly, after the flooring that fell out, I wouldn't have thought that anyone could follow us.
They go along the edge.
Right, but I wouldn't have thought that. So as a kids, I would have been, a little bit more relaxed. Like, okay, finally we've got away from them because they can't follow us. And then they're going across the edge. Yeah,
when I was a kid, that part actually confused me because I was like, wait a minute, all that fell. How in the world did they get around? And then I saw that there's a little ledge that they crawl along. I was like, okay, well, that's how they did it, but whatever. So they search the ship, but do not find any rich stuff at first. Data falls through the floor and talks about how he's tired of falling, which is funny. He sits there, keeps going, this guy, funny guy up there talking about, why? Oh, it's my fault and stuff like that. Why do you keep falling? It's just a funny little rant that he goes on. Everyone is getting upset about not finding the gold, and Andy sets off what she thinks is a trap, but it really reveals another port to climb through.
It says something on
it. It says something on it written in gold, and they don't say it. And I actually thought in the original that it was released, I thought that they did read or see or say something with it, but when I watched it, they don't say anything about it. So I said, okay. And I watched the deleted scenes and such, and I didn't see anything about it. So, well, I guess it's just written on there. But it's written in gold.
Yeah. That's why it's like, I thought something more would have come out of it. But
I said, oh, that's pretty cool. Mikey goes up and finds that it's the captain's quarters and that all of the rich stuff is in there along with One-Eyed Willie and the rest of his crew. So Mikey talks to Willie and tells him how he beat him. The rest of the Goonies join him, and they start to load up on rich stuff, minus taking the stuff from Willie's scale, because Mikey says that's Willie's. Don't touch that.
He seemed to have a weird, like, obsession with Willie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It was just a little.
I think it probably went back to the fact that his dad had told him the story and stuff like that because of who his dad, what his dad's job was, and for it to be real, for something like that to be real and everything like that. Maybe there was a connection with it. I don't know.
That's fair.
It's important to note that Mouth empties his marble bag and fills it with jewels at this point, along with everywhere everybody else is putting. I would have been putting mad gold in my backpack if I was Data.
Everything would have been going.
There's no way that the Fratellis would have known everything that I had in my pockets and everything. Empty everything. Yeah, I'm empty.
I'm putting things under my stomach.
Yeah.
I'm holding in my rolls.
Ew. Gross.
They're not going to find it.
Patrick?
Like Patrick,
star?
yeah.
At this point, the Fratellis catch up and tell them to drop all the rich stuff that they have taken. Data does make an attempt to fight them off, but fails miserably. A good scene with Mama Fratelli emptying out Mouth's mouth is actually at this point because she keeps pulling out like
I didn't,
pearls and all kinds of stuff. Oh my god!
I didn't like the fact that the thing with Data, the fight didn't go well because this whole time he's been nonstop doing great things, cool inventions, and then at the moment when it matters the most, he fails.
Well, his inventions don't really work all that well. They just happen to conveniently work at the point in time. But like when he goes to punch him with the glove and he punches himself, or and it comes out all creepy.
Before it worked.
It's 50-50.
No, I don't care. Anyways,
there was actually also a cut scene where he was going to have his like these binoculars pop up and it breaks and stuff like that. So it's 50-50. The slick shoes worked well. The pinches of power worked well, but
I didn't really like it. Okay. Also, disgusting. Why would you put shipwreck pearls in your mouth? I get that you need to carry as much as you can, but
yeah.
Gross. You're getting
anything in your mouth.
You're getting horrible diseases after
You're going to have conjunctivitis. You're going
to get bad juju.
Giardia. We didn't have to move, but Mouth died.
Yeah, so conveniently, Mouth.
Yeah. Mama Fratelli makes Andy walk the plank, so Bran jumps in after her and saves her since her hands are tied. About this time, Chunk and Sloth show up to save the Goonies, which I thought was pretty cool.
I thought it was weird that they made her tie her hands up, Andy's hands, but nobody else. Because she was just like, okay, who's next?
They didn't like her.
I guess not.
Yeah. So Sloth distracts the Fratelli brothers while the rest of the Goonies jump ship. Sloth has the brothers tied up and hung up from like the rafts, I guess you say, and deals with his mother, who tries to sing to him to calm him down, but she talks about falling in the Rockabye song, and he freaks out because she dropped him.
Dropped you once.
Maybe once. Okay, maybe once. Maybe it was twice. I'm like, so he picks her up and chucks her overboard, which I was like, okay. He then jumps in himself and meets up with the Goonies. Mama Fratelli climbs back up the ship and cuts the brothers down and talks about finding the gold, ending up, she goes in and she's like, thank you, Mr. Willie. But she ends up setting off another trap since she takes from Willie's scale. Bran finds a weak spot in the wall of the cave. He's like, oh, it looks like a cave-in's happened here before. And so he's looking to have like a light, but actually grabs a piece of dynamite. So they throw that in there, hightail it to go high in the water, blows a bigger hole in the wall. There's a giant boulder that Sloth pushes up for them to get under. And they all crawl out, and he's kind of saying bye. It's kind of a sad goodbye to Chunk and everything like that. And then it looks like the rock actually crushes him. For a second, I was like, oh my gosh, did they just crush him?
Yeah.
They all get out, though, and escape to the beach. All the Goonies do. While this is happening, One-Eyed Willie's trap is still going off, opening a huge hole in the wall of the cave and drawing the anchor of the ship up, which was pretty cool, but also weird at the same time that the wall was disintegrating.
Maybe it wasn't a trap per se. Maybe it was just like we got to get out of here. Last plan for him and his crew.
Well, I say trap, but I wish you could think of that word. It's not invention. It's not trap. It's he has it all set up. Basically, like, I think that's the kindredness that they have with him, because you know how they have the yard set up with the whole, all the little contraptions that they have for opening the gate and all of that kind of stuff. Well, he's got that stuff, all of his contraptions set up that same way. So maybe that's why Mikey feels such a kindredness with him. No? Anything?
Let's see.
A compound machine?
No, that's not what it is. It's like
I know what you're talking about. It's somebody's last name, I believe is what it's called. Somebody's last name. It's not that important.
Yeah.
So, the cops find the Goonies and notify the parents, who have obviously been looking for them since they've been disappeared, which I thought was nice.
Yeah.
You know, unlike some of these other parents who just, I didn't know my kids were missing. And here, all of the parents show up. The kids think they're going to be in trouble, but the parents are just excited and happy to see their kids. So all the kids are celebrating being found and, with their parents and eating a pizza, Domino's pizza and stuff like that. And then the Fratellis show up and the cops react. But Sloth is with them and the Goonies jump to his defense. They're like, no, he's not with them. He's one of the good guys, which I thought that was nice. And then Chunk tells Sloth that he's going to live with him now.
Yeah, I would not have let him come home with me.
I have a problem with this. Okay? This guy has been living chained to walls. Clearly, something's up.
Yeah.
They're like, we chain you up for your own good. Okay, why do they have to chain him to the wall? And is he potty trained? I mean,
how did he know how to swim? How did he know how to lift things? I mean, all of it was... Everything was bad.
I just really am not comfortable with the fact that Chunk is making the decision that this guy is going to come live with them. He's not going to do well in society. People are going to judge him. Not that they should, but he's not going to be able to get a job. He's not going to, what's he going to do? You're going to live with me now. Oh, okay. Well. No,
I didn't.
I guess you're just going to sit home.
You would not have come. If I came home with that, no.
We're going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
So Mr. Perkins shows up telling the dad that he has to sign the papers for the foreclosure and sale of their house. So the dad's kind of doing that and kind of like diddling around, pressing his glasses and everything like that. Meanwhile, Rosalita finds the marble bag filled with the jewels and tells them not to sign. So she's yelling something in Spanish. No, and Mouth is like, no pen, no sign. He's like, no sign, no sign. So the Goonies stop him from signing, and he rips up the contract. He's like, we're never moving or anything else. So now no one has to leave the Goondocks, which is, as they call it, which is cool. The news shows up and starts asking the kids what happened. And at first, no one seems to believe them until they kind of look into the distance and they see One-Eyed Willie's pirate ship sailing again. All of the Goonies sit and look fondly at it as Mikey says, bye, Willie, and thanks. And that's the end of the movie. So what are your thoughts on that?
So the movie ends. It's kind of like the movie itself was kind of interesting at certain parts, but lacking in others for me. Like I was saying with the characters and how everything's kind of the same. Same in the sense that it's all contraptions that are going off and everything, and having to go through it. And it mostly kept my attention during those parts too. So that kind of just says what I mean for the rest of the movie. And the traps themselves weren't really anything special either. Trap your hand, thing falls out. The thing falls out during the piano scene too. The floor is falling out a lot. And the rocks are going out too. Just...
Okay.
I don't know.
So you feel that it was repetitive?
It was repetitive.
In the way it was.
And then the characters themselves weren't lacking. Like, the thing was, I know I've said in the past that if I can remember the names of the characters in the movie, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
I remember the names of these characters because they said it so much. And that it was only focused on set like 3 characters, and the other ones I couldn't even remember. Like,
did you notice that their mom was the same mom from Monster Squad? Did you remember that? Yeah, because she was. Remember, I brought that up in the Monster Squad. Yeah, their mom.
Well, maybe we had watched it back to back. I would have noticed.
All right.
Because I can't even picture her face.
She's the blonde lady with big eyes.
I pictured the blonde lady from the last movie we did.
Okay.
I could see her face in my mind. I have his name down as Techno. I didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna fix it.
Techno.
Data.
I want to write them. Please dub name to Techno instead of Data. Such a better name.
I wonder what I got that from. I don't even know. But yeah, I don't know. The characters in this weren't good, in my opinion. I've listed my reasoning for it. Although there's the humor in this movie is good.
Yeah,
I like the humor part of this.
Okay,
so I give it points for that. But I take points off for the characters and then the overall.
Well, I mean,
execution.
You got the Big Brother type brand. You've got Mikey, who's the dreamer. You got Mouth, who's the sarcastic. You've got Data, who's the inventor type. You've got Chunk, who's the obnoxious, heavyset kid.
Right, but
you've got the two girls.
The girls who didn't have any personality to themselves, except, if you want to know. But Chunk he seemed to have more part in the movie than anybody else did. Like, it seemed more about him than anybody else, and more about Mikey. I didn't like it. They could have done it better. They could have executed it better.
Okay. I
did like the movie, the fact that the movie went along pretty smoothly. Everything was kept happening. Like, my notes on this weren't very extensive because everything pretty much happens as it's happening.
Nice flow.
So it's something, there wasn't much to comment on, scene wise.
Would you recommend it to a friend?
I don't think I would. This isn't a movie I could see myself watching again, like, within a year. It would have to be something that it's like the last thing that's on. It's better than other movies that we've watched. It's just not interesting enough to want to watch again.
How many movies do you give it?
I gave it a 3 out of 5, but it was a sharp 3 out of 5. I gave it a 3 out of 5 because of the humor of the movie. I'm
going to drop a bit from what I usually do, and I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5.
3.5?
Yeah. And that's only because I don't know if it's because this one comes on. I see this movie on TV a lot.
Yes.
And if it's on, we usually will just leave it on. Or if we're flipping through and it's on, we'll flip it through. So maybe that's why I didn't have the same excitement about watching this one as I do about some other ones, because a lot of the movies that we've done, I haven't seen in a while. So I get to see them again. And so that's why I think that. But it's a good movie. I enjoy the movie. I enjoy it all. Again, it's nostalgic for me in the way of it's a gang of kids who are off doing... me and my friends used to go and do stupid stuff and get into stupid, things that would get us in trouble and everything like that. Not destructive or anything like that per se, but like we would ride our bikes halfway across town and do stupid stuff. We would get in trains. There was train tracks and we would climb up the trains and get in them and everything like that. And
that's why I gave it a 3. Because originally I was thinking more on the 2 side, but when I finished the movie, like, all the way through, I realized that it wasn't necessarily the fact that it's not a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's just the writing could have been better for it to a degree. They could have done more things, like I said with the restaurant. You could have had the restaurant be a cave entrance. You could have it, since the whole thing's underground, you could have made that a cave entrance, so that seems more realistic to the fact that, okay, this is 100 or so years later.
Gotcha.
And not a restaurant.
I guess I see that. I also think of, like, they discovered it, they laid claim to it, so even though the ship is going out to sea or whatever, that's theirs. They discovered it, so everything on it is theirs. That's their money. They're rich. They don't have to worry about money anymore. Even if they did a museum or whatever, it's still theirs. They're going to be famous for discovering this, for going through. They're going to have TV and everything else. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just the bag of jewels doesn't really matter at that point in time. But, it ended the movie. What are you going to do?
Yeah. And that's how I have to look at it. It's a movie. It's, the 80s. Things aren't going to be up there and everything. But, the movie, I like that it was smooth and how things transitioned.
Yeah.
It wasn't really choppy. Everything pretty much went in order. I just have complaints with how things were executed to a degree. And then the characters themselves. So that's why it wasn't... it's not a favorite of mine that we've done so far.
Okay.
It's not one that I would see again. However, favorite character, This was a hard one for me because I really wanted to pick. It was between Mouth and Data for me, but I went with Data because he had a lot of funny one-liners, and then all the technology stuff. I like that.
Wow. I would not have thought of Data. I would have thought that it was between like a Mikey and
Mikey was.
and a Mouth.
I didn't like Mikey. He was such a. I didn't like his character. It was pretty much just like, guys, we're gonna be split up, and we have to go on this grand adventure, and then weirdly obsessed with One Eye Willie. I didn't like him.
My favorite character is Mouth.
Yeah, I thought
I figured it would be because of the sarcasm. I love the snarky sarcasm. So,
who was your least favorite character?
Troy.
Troy?
Yeah. I mean, because he tried to kill somebody, and I just have no time for
That's fair. Well, mine was going to be Andy's friend that I can't remember, and I still can't remember her name, Steph. Because I at least remember Troy's name. I couldn't remember this girl's name. So I gave points off for that. But I forgot. When we do least favorite characters, it's hard for me to... I don't ever think about small characters like Troy. Yeah. As to be the least favorite character. Like, the character I don't like the most. I always think about within the main group of people. So.
Okay. I got you. So
within your main group of people, who would your least favorite character be?
It would probably be Steph as well. Yeah. Well.
It's hard, because that's...
Maybe even Andy, because... my God,
mine would probably be
Andy. I appreciate the fact that, the cheerleader girl has a crush on you and everything like that. But at the same time, bruh, keep it in your pants. We're on like a serious like death issue going on here. You're freaking out about it, but hey, I got to get that kiss in.
Yeah.
Really? So I wanted to make a point of something, and let's do it now. So I want to retract my least favorite character in the Lost Boys of last episode.
Who did you say it was?
I can't even remember at this point in time. I think I said Max. My least favorite character is friggin' Laddie, the little boy, because he's so unneeded in that movie. He's just an unnecessary character whatsoever. There's no need to have a little boy vampire. He's not even changed. He just shows up, and what's the point? So, my least favorite character, Laddie. Just had to bring that up as a point of reference for everybody. Hopefully, if you listen to the Lost Boys episode, and if you have, then you're going to know that, yeah, I'm not a fan of Laddie at all. So, anyway, sorry.
Favorite scene?
Favorite scene would be in the attic.
That was mine. With the painting?
Yeah, with the painting.
That was my favorite scene.
Mikey, come and make me feel like a woman.
Yeah.
It just really, really makes me laugh.
I love that there's always a duo like that. You always have... I think I talked about this when we did...
Monster Squad?
No.
Oh.
When we did the one where they walk into the house and boy dead in the floor. What is that name? Fright Night. Sorry. Where you always have, the character who seems like he's like straight A's type kid, which would have been Mikey in the situation.
Yeah.
And then the jerk hole friend who's always doing stupid stuff, which would be Mouth. And I always loved Mouth, or those characters, because they're always so funny and not pressed like the main character always is, in the sense.
Gotcha.
So.
Gotcha. All right. Got a bit of trivia. It's, this movie had probably about 16 pages of trivia to pull from. And I'm not doing it, especially since this was already going to be a long one. Yeah. I said, we're going to stay pretty lean on it. So to start off, we'll talk about how June 7th is officially Goonies Day. It was declared as such by the mayor of Astoria during the 25th anniversary celebration in 2010.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's pretty cool. The kids' reaction to seeing the pirate ship for the first time was genuine. It was actually the first time.
Pirate ship?
Yes.
Oh.
It was the first time that they had ever seen it, and they actually had to, I think, redo some of the, when I was talking about dubbing and everything like that, because I think Josh Brolin let out like a giant curse. Like they were saying some during the whole movie, but he said a big one, and they were like, no, we can't have that in here.
No, yeah.
So, yeah, speaking of the pirate ship, it is entirely real. After the movie was shot, they offered it to anyone who would take it, and nobody would. So they scrapped it.
I probably would have too.
I would have taken it.
You would have taken this?
I lived in Florida, man. I would have taken that thing. That'd have been cool. I'd have loved to have a pirate ship.
Where are you going to put it?
I'd have lived on it. Okay, well, you can look at me like that. I don't know.
With the dead bodies and everything? I mean, that thing was falling apart in the movie.
Look.
Which we didn't talk about. When they were in the room. They're in the trapped room.
Yeah.
They set off the trap. They should still have been on the boat when it was floating out. But they come up. Did they jump into the water to get out the cave?
Oh, the Fratellis?
Yeah.
Yeah, they ended up coming out the hole as well.
Right. But they were on the ship. They were in the ship when it was going out.
When it was starting to go out, yeah. They sure were.
Whatever.
Yeah, they could have just sailed out and been free. Corey Feldman, who plays Mouth, met fellow child actor and soon-to-be best friend Corey Haim while auditioning for this film. Because Corey Haim auditioned as well. He didn't get any parts, but yep, that's where they met. They met auditioning for this.
I don't know who that is.
Corey Haim?
Yeah.
Sam from The Lost Boys.
Oh.
Yeah.
The frogs.
No. Corey Feldman, Mouth, is one of the Frog Brothers.
Right. Oh, Sam.
Sam
the brother.
is the brother.
Thank you. Sorry.
You with me?
I'm bad with names.
Oh my gosh.
I just am.
And an interesting one for good measure. Just because. All of the Goonies' real last names end with the letter N. Sean Astin, Josh Brolin, and then the last names, the other ones are Cohen, Corey Feldman, Green, Martha Plimpton, and Kwan. All of those last names end with N. Interesting.
I guess.
I thought it was interesting. Coincidental, I think. So what else do you have for me, young man?
The only thing I have left is the fact that there was indeed a BuzzFeed quiz for this one. The which Goonies character are you? Yeah. I ended up getting Mouth.
Sweet.
Yes.
You're so lucky.
I'm happy that I got Mouth. You're probably going to get...
I'm going to get Steph.
Womp womp. But I will be posting that to our group.
The Trouble Shufflers.
After. Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
All right. Anything
That's all
else?
for me. Yep.
Very cool. All right. We're going to wrap this one up tonight. I'd like to thank everyone for stopping by and listening to our 13th episode. We deeply, deeply appreciate it, more than you could imagine. And, of course, the best way to say you love us is to give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Haven't gotten a couple or any in a while. It'd be nice to get one. Of course, new ones, not necessarily repeats, because I do know that a lot of people love to give us some and repeat them, but all you do is just repeat. It doesn't come up as new. You can email us at the yesteryearpodcast@gmail.com. On Twitter, we're twitter.com/yesteryearpcast. Instagram.com/yesteryearpodcast. Facebook is facebook.com/yesteryear. We do have our group, the Truffle Shufflers. Secret question is the host names. It's James and Beth. Our website is yesteryearpodcast.buzzsprout.com. Our Patreon, if you'd like to go that route with it, is www.patreon.com/the nostalgia group. A shout out to Greg Revan for doing all of our music for us. We appreciate it so much. And if you don't have anything else, Miss Beth, I will say good night, and good night, Beth.
Good night, everyone.